Welcome to the Awaken on Purpose podcast, where each week you'll hear inspirational stories of heart-centered leaders who have awakened to their higher purpose and taken that leap of faith to follow their heart and make an impact in the world. Get ready to be enlightened, empowered, and transformed with your host, Jennifer Spohr.
I am just super excited and really overjoyed to welcome as a guest to the show today, Shelly Elsliger. She is an engaging LinkedIn trainer and president of Linked Express. She coaches executives, diverse leaders, aspiring women leaders, business students, and job seekers, as well as corporate teams, inspiring them to maximize their professional branding potential and their social influence on LinkedIn. Shelly is a Forbes writer, a Women of Inspiration winner for 2019, a member of the International Coach Federation, recognized as a woman you need to know by the National Women's Speaker Association, and made it to the list of globally recognized LinkedIn training experts in 2017. She is also the LinkedIn trainer for Rotman Commerce at the University of Toronto in Toronto, Ontario. Her diverse experience as a professional LinkedIn trainer and coach allows her to bring a unique breadth of knowledge, as well as an aspect of fun and passion to all her workshops and speaking engagements, especially LinkedIn High Heels, Rise Up and Lead Online, Shelly's signature workshop all about women finding their voice, owning their space, and bravely telling their story. Welcome, Shelly.
Hi. Great to be here.
So thrilled and happy to finally get to connect with you and to have you here with us today. I know this is going to be just an awesome conversation. With that being said, we would love to hear more about you and how did you end up doing the work that you're doing today? What inspired you to actually do it, and how did you get to where you are now?
So that's a lot.
I know.
But how did I become where I am today? So I was a teacher for many, many years. I've always been in higher education because I've always been that kind of person who the younger generation to reach their goals and to achieve high and to build their confidence. But I noticed that after I did that for a while, I kind of felt that I was just moving into a real regular rhythm with that. And I was just doing things out of repetition. When LinkedIn really, really liked the platform right away, just like so many people though, I kind of got on it and did my thing, but really didn't think much of it. But I saw so much potential in it. And even before I kind of really got involved with LinkedIn, I was kind of thinking that I could use it as a way to empower students. If I really had my way and I had, some free magic wands or something, that I could create something that could elevate the way that students were profiling themselves, because we always talk about, knowing your branding statement and knowing about yourself, but not everybody is able to stand up there and confidently say who they are and what they have to offer the world. And I want them, and that's what I want. I want them to build confidence and just realize how important and amazing so many of them are. All of them are in their own way. So I started to gradually become a coach. And in 2010, I think that was my year, because I became a certified coach. And at the same time, I ended up in Calgary for this kind of educational conference. And there was a guy standing ahead of me, and he had a red jacket on with a blue LinkedIn sign, like a blue LinkedIn, attached to his jacket, sewed into his jacket. And I'm like, why doesn't he have a blue jacket on? So I stood there for a few minutes fighting with myself why he has a red jacket on and not a blue jacket on. But then I got over that and I said, once he orders, I am going to pay that coffee forward, no matter what it is. And so he ordered a latte and I listened. And then all of a sudden I just pushed my way in and I paid for his latte. And he said, oh, you're the girl at the conference. You came by our table. I said, yes, a number of times. But I said, it's kind of like the conference is kind of dwindling down and I'm losing my mojo a little bit. And he said, well, me too, actually. So why don't we just take a seat and you can tell me all about what you do at the college and the university. And because I was doing different things at different places at the time. And he said, let's chat. And I ended up sitting down with him over a couple of lattes at that point and actually just told him my desire to use it as an empowerment tool. And he just thought that was the greatest thing, because he said so that so many people that he talked to, it was just about, I got to get my resume, I got to get my digital footprint, I got to get my, I have to have that. But LinkedIn was never about actually being an online resume. It's always been about being a networking tool, helping professionals rise and grow. And so when he heard what I had to say, his ears perked up, and he said, "Oh," and then we ended up 2 hours later, ended up like just getting along. And then lo and behold, he ends up introducing me to a couple of people from LinkedIn, told them to take me under their wing. And the next thing I know is that, he's becoming my mentor, and I'm there, and I'm kind of getting the scoop on LinkedIn and taking pictures, which, I love to do. And then the rest is history. Like I realized at that point that I was going to gain so much information and it would be a waste to just let it go. So at that point, I was still working at at a university in Montreal and a college. And I kind of put together this proposal, and I said, this is what I want to do. I want to use LinkedIn as a platform to raise people up. And none of them really knew LinkedIn or really embraced it. So actually it was excellent for me, because they just gave me a carte blanche and said, okay, don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness. And so I said, okay, I probably won't have to ask for forgiveness because I will be successful. And anyway, I implemented LinkedIn at the university for a group of business students. And then that was kind of the first thing I did. And then the same, and not long after, in 2010, I decided that, I have this entrepreneurial drive, and it just has to be satisfied, because there's something there that's not being satisfied. And so again, I took that other risk and that other thing, and then went off to be an entrepreneur and opened my business, Linked Express. And not long after, again, I felt there was something else I wanted to do, and decided that I was going to focus a part of Linked Express on women specifically, and came up with LinkedIn and high heels. And then the rest is history. I've been doing so much with LinkedIn since 2010. So I'm actually going to have my anniversary next year in 2020.
Wow, that's really special and amazing. I mean, I really view LinkedIn as a community. It's so much more than a place to find a job, which is, I know, what a lot of people kind of considered it to be a few years ago. And I've noticed, especially even in the last couple of years, a shift that's taking place around the level of networking and connection that is happening. And you and I met through LinkedIn.
We did.
Yeah, which I love. It's really such a powerful platform, and in so many ways, really still underutilized in the world.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would definitely encourage anyone who is listening out there to, if you're not active on that platform, to definitely reach out and explore that. Shelly, I'd love to know more about, so earlier you had mentioned really your love and your passion for helping others to shine, basically, to help others find their confidence and their power. And I share that passion with you as well. I love helping others be the best version they can be of themselves. What inspired that drive in you to help others shine?
So if I think back to really what inspired me, it goes back way back into my childhood. So I was, I guess, 12 going on 13 years old. And I was a public speaker. I was this kind of kid that was like, you put me on stage and give me any kind of glitter, I'm good to go. I loved it. I think I got on stage the first time in grade 4. And so in grade 6, I was this chubby little cute kid. that had a Superwoman costume that my neighbor gave me. And I just didn't think like really of like bullying or anything like that. But I guess in grade 6, a little bit of bullying started, and more name calling than anything. But at age 12, it can be pretty devastating. So I remember I asked my parents for my first pair of red high heels because I was going to be doing an actual talk on empathy. So they got me the heels, and you can see my heel is actually always in the back of me. I can always see it because it inspires me. So I had my heels on and I got up to do my speech, and the whole village was there because I came from a little like northern like village in northern New Brunswick, right? Everybody was there because it was this big deal. And as I got up and I was just about to say my speech before I even got started, my bully was like I think in the third row and kind of yelled out, Shelly Welly with the big fat belly. And at that time, it was this thing around like she used to always do that in the hallway or whatever. And then, but at that point, I remember standing there and just losing my voice completely and just running out trying to find the curtain to get through to get through so I could get in the back and run home. But I had a hard time finding the opening to the curtains. But when I finally did, I slid, and my left high heel kind of flew because they were a little big for me. It flew and then it got lodged somewhere and I couldn't find it and it was dark. And I remember just picking up my right high heel and then flying out the door and then going home and then saying that I would never speak in public again and I would never wear red high heels. So years later, actually close to like 2010, around that same time, I decided to go back home. And my mother, I actually had this little tickle trunk, after Mr. Dressup, I used to call it the tickle trunk. And I went into the tickle trunk and lo and behold, my red high heel was there, the one that that I kept. My mother had put it in the tickle trunk. So I reach into it and it's like a new chapter in my life, right? Like I have coaching behind me. I've gotten this stuff with LinkedIn, but let's remember, I got this kind of training on LinkedIn, but I really wasn't I wasn't publicly speaking or doing things like that. I was still keeping it on the low, like, working with students or working with other people, but one-on-one coaching, yes, that was fine, but not to get up and speak or do any kind of talks on, anything related to LinkedIn or social reciprocity or anything like that. So when I went back, I actually found the heel and actually called up my public speaking coach and asked her if I could do that speech back at my old school. And she said, yes, of course. And I'll be there with you. And she actually came, and there was only me and her. And I got up in the same spot. She even put some masking tape because they always put masking tape to show you where to stand. And she put the masking tape, and I wore a pair of new red heels. And I got up and I said my speech almost like it was yesterday. And at that point, I realized that this had, a moment of adversity was not going to bring me down any longer. And I was going to use that moment, remember back to that moment, and allow it to push me further, push me ahead, and bring others with me. So that's how it all began. So when I go on LinkedIn every time, my goal is I always have that idea of rising people up, because LinkedIn gave me back my voice and it's allowed me to take, that time back and back when I was 12 or 13 and take that time and actually have some good come out of it. Because when you're that age, you don't know what to do with it. It really, it can be so powerfully influential and it can drag you down and carry right into your adult life. And at one point I had the choice to let it affect me like that or to actually use it for the good. And then I found LinkedIn and I had LinkedIn under my belt. So then I said, okay, this is what I can do. I can use LinkedIn to empower people. So whether it's a younger generation, whether it's the people, the women around me that I get to meet, anybody, anybody. The shoe just represents the height. The shoe represents rise up and find your space, own your space, find your voice, and bravely tell your story.
And red is an empowering color.
Absolutely.
As well. I mean, everything that red high heel stands for. Your story is so powerful. And I just had chills as you were telling it. I just kept getting the goosebumps because I really believe, and you alluded to this as well, that every experience in our life serves a purpose. And we are always empowered to choose. We can't control other people or everything that happens, right, in life, but we can always take control of our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions. And what you experienced, you could have allowed it to devastate you for the rest of your life. And that does happen with so many people, but you turned something that was a struggle into just one of the greatest blessings, not just for yourself, but look at how many other people's lives you touch. It's just really inspiring. So thank you for all that you do.
Well, thank you
for find yourself getting a little emotional here.
Well, thank you for letting me tell it, because I didn't bring it to the forefront and didn't tell that story for a long, long time. I just, I did my thing, and it's probably only since maybe even a little over a year or 2 years when people started to kind of ask me what the heel represents and then I thought, you know what, I'm going to say it once and see where it goes and just take that risk. And I was willing to deal with the consequences. And then what I realized that actually, all of us behind LinkedIn, we're all people striving to find our community. We're all people trying to find our voice in some way, some louder, some quieter, some more aggressively, some more assertively, some not at all. But I feel like for me, I just have this in me that if I can just touch one person, it's going to make it worth it, because I I found a lot of that power in myself, but I wasn't alone. I decided at one point I had to somehow create a community around me that were going to help to rise me up. So I never do anything alone. And there's such a power, as you said, in LinkedIn, like because we're all humans behind our stories on LinkedIn. And look at the people that we have around us. Like, look at just you and I, Jennifer, how, we met, but I mean, we're meeting today for the first time where we can actually see each other. But I mean, I feel like we could just be sitting here having a conversation, because that's the power of LinkedIn. And this all happened in around 2017, when, the word came out that people we're not robots on LinkedIn. We're not robots. We are humans. And really, we're there to build community and relationships. And in fact, in 2003, when it was built and Reid Hoffman, was building LinkedIn, it was never about something so, structured and as a resume. It was really about finding out who people really are and giving everybody a chance to have their space, own it, be proud of it, and let it affect other people. So I just remember that every single time I get on LinkedIn, it's always about what can I do to make a difference.
Absolutely. I just can't really say enough about how powerful I think that platform is and the level of engagement. I mean, there are real conversations and learning that is taking place over there, and real invaluable relationships that are being established. It's just a wonderful platform, and I just think what you're doing is amazing, really helping others to shine and just really bringing that to life.
Yeah, and I'm so lucky because the people in my LinkedIn people pod, like yourself, are really people that I feel are doing the same thing. And maybe we didn't, some of us didn't go in with that intention, But I just think because of who we are, it's LinkedIn has allowed us to bring that side of ourselves like to the forefront. It's so funny when I talk to people that are in my circle, in my support system. It's so funny because they didn't go in believing that they could make any kind of difference on LinkedIn, but then they see themselves starting to impact people and receive messages and receive putting their story out there that once might have been like, no way would I, like, kind of somebody saying to themselves, no way would I ever put that story out. And then they take the risk, they kind of beat the imposter syndrome down, take the risk and put it out there just to find out that somebody needed to hear that story that day, right? So it's just so powerful.
Absolutely. And in order to find your tribe, you have to allow yourself to be seen.
Yeah, absolutely. Vulnerable, seen, authentic. And I really feel like the way that I am on LinkedIn is the way that I am off LinkedIn. And so I guess that's why for me it's a safe place, and it's a humbling place, and it's just a place where my people exist, for sure. Absolutely.
What you said just now about being who you are online and offline in your work and outside of work is so key. And that is one of the things that I'm most passionate about in my mission, and sharing that online, because I believe that there is no separation between personal and professional. Our work, should be in alignment with our values and part of the core of who we are. And there are so many people out there in the world that feel like they have to fit into a certain cookie cutter way in order to be successful in life.
Mhm.
And so, anyway, what you said was really important, is that everybody deserves to be, to feel that they can shine and feel that they can be the same person at work and the same person in life. They don't have to settle. Everyone deserves to have that joy and that fulfillment and that opportunity to show up as who they really are.
And it yes, and it gives I think LinkedIn is another opportunity for people that may be feeling not that free to be themselves offline. So for me, like, LinkedIn gave me back my voice, and then I transferred that offline and kind of found myself back, right? So now I do all kinds of speaking engagements and I get on that stage, and I remember back then. And if LinkedIn hadn't been there, maybe I would not be doing that. And it's really something that is so important for me. Like, when they say you get that adrenaline, or you get that, like when I'm on stage talking about LinkedIn, or certain aspects around LinkedIn that I feel are so utterly important, I just get this like energy that doesn't exist in some other areas of my life when I'm just doing the normal things, but or the normal aspects of my job day to day. But when I get to actually speak about LinkedIn, because I know it can offer people like myself that opportunity, I get so excited at that possibility, because it's there, and it's there for those people that may need that kind of offering to in order to be able to move further. Because things can happen, and what I'm realizing is just bullying in itself, and mental health, and all of these things that are people are talking about now, and it's out, and people are actually sharing and supporting and contributing to the conversation. So what's really important is that we have this opportunity to provide there's different ways that we can open up the way that we can somehow use adversity, whatever that is, whether it happened in our childhood, or whether it's currently happening, or whether it happened in a different age. We have possibilities out there that we may not have even seen. And now I feel it's like my opportunity to let people know that that exists, and that even if some people are finding it in other ways, this opportunity can exist for people as well, and provide additional opportunities to find their space again. and bravely tell their story. Yeah, there's no cookie cutter way. And I think LinkedIn is showing us that.
Yeah, I love that. There are a lot of people out there right now who may be at a crossroads in their life. They have a dream on their heart to pursue. They are in the process of finding their red high heel, but maybe they're not sure how to move forward. What would be your number one piece of advice for someone in that place to be able to take action today to move forward on their path?
So today I was trying to find this book for my mother, because she recently had an amputation, and now she has a prosthetic, and she's been living in fear for quite a while. So it's a few months that she has the prosthetic, and I pushed her to come and visit me. Right, I pushed her to make that trip from New Brunswick to Toronto with her prosthetic and all her fears, and to just do it anyway. So I have a book called, Fight the Fear and Do It Anyway. And I finally found it today. So, fear. So for me, fear now is something different. When I get that sense of fear, I just say, okay, that's not a fear. That's a signal for me to challenge it. It's a signal for me to do something different. It's a signal for me that maybe I'm just getting too comfortable. And so I guess my suggestion is, when you have that feeling of fear, maybe take a look at where it's coming from and just say to yourself, you know what? I'm going to embrace that fear and do it anyway. Because it's that movement. It's that movement that usually will tell us that, what you're doing is right. So it's that little bit of uncomfortableness that is not something we like to embrace, because that's human. We don't want to embrace it. But when we ask ourselves, are we really comfortable in our comfort zones? Actually, we're not. Most of the time, we're not. When we're in our comfort zone and we're striving and we're trying to do other things, that means we're not comfortable there. That just means that we have decided to accept stability, or we've decided to accept what we know, because we don't want to take a risk, because we wonder what's on the other side. But that's usually a sign for me. I take it as a signal that, it's better for me to find out what's on the other side than to just accept and live with what I have now on the other side, on the side that I'm.
Absolutely. There's nothing to be afraid of. It's just something that's new. Our fears, I really believe this, our fears are our biggest opportunities for growth. Our souls are eternal and they actually crave expansion. It's our conditioning, our environment in some cases that has taught us that we need to fear change. Mm-hmm. But change and expansion is actually an amazing thing. Amazing, amazing. Shelly, how can someone find you if they want to learn more about you? I know most definitely LinkedIn. Is there any other place that you want to direct them to as well?
I mean, LinkedIn is my go-to place. It's for sure I'm there. And I have a website called linkedexpress.ca. So for sure people can visit that site. I'm doing a few, how do you say that? A little bit of a facelift on that site right now. But for sure, LinkedIn is the space to find me, because I'm on there every day.
Awesome. And especially for anyone who's listening who may want to explore getting more involved on the platform, they should most definitely reach out to you. Mm-hmm. And they're more than welcome to connect with me as well. I'm also a friendly face there, but yeah.
Absolute friendly face, Jennifer. You're so warm, and it actually comes out on LinkedIn. Like, I don't know, you can't even, like, it's indescribable. You're just like this warm soul. So
thank you. Thank you so much. And Shelly, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. You're inspiring and helping so many people. And I just thank you for that. And I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Shelly.
Thank you for listening to the Awake and On Purpose podcast. Please visit us and subscribe to the podcast at awakeandonpurpose.com so you never miss an episode. To learn more about how you can connect with your higher purpose and take that leap of faith to make your impact in the world, visit us at jenniferspor.com. And while you're there, be sure to join our email list for exclusive offers and a weekly dose of inspiration.